Hello! In today's video we're going to be doing some lighting upgrades in my bathroom, so let's get on with it. Roll titles! Hello, welcome to my channel if it's your first time here, and welcome back if it's not. Now, yes, today's video is in my bathroom of all places, and that is because we want to replace this rather rubbish light fitting. Now, when we bought the house, it came with this light and I hate it. Now, the problem is the rest of our home has smart lighting from the Hue ecosystem, and this isn't smart. This is a dumb light. So it does the job perfectly well. Let me go and turn it on. See, an adequate light. But the problem is, it is very bright in here, and obviously that's fine most of the time. But in the evening, for example, or like late at night, if you come to the toilet, you don't really want a big light blasting down on you like this. So we need to get something a little bit more controllable, I guess, and something a little bit more funky. So what we'll do now is we'll go to me at my desk and have a look at what we're going to fit. But you already know because it's in the video title, but let's just humour Kip at the desk. Anyway, so let's go back over there. So our upgraded light, as you might have guessed, is a Hue light. This Hue light, and it is the Xamento medium ceiling light, and as you can see, it is their white and colour ambience light. And I kind of thought there's not much need for colours in the bathroom, but why not? If I'm going to be replacing it, I might as well get something that can do everything just for fun. And you know, if James wants to have a disco when he's in the shower, why not? But actually, from a sort of usability perspective, I could make it so when this comes on at night, it actually comes on like in a red colour maybe, or a blue or something like that, just so it's not so glaring and bright. Yeah, maybe some sort of colour during nighttime mode might be in order, but we'll play with that. So yeah, this is the light. It is the medium. I think there's a large and a small as well. We'll measure how big this one is in due course, but the box is actually quite large, bigger than I expected. That's what she said. So yeah, it also can be controlled by Bluetooth if you don't have the Hue hub, which is pretty cool. I'm not a fan of using Hue lights via Bluetooth. I just think get the hub, get more control, get everything working a bit better. I find Bluetooth stuff can be a little bit flaky. Now, this isn't a cheap light. It retails for around about $189.99, which, yeah, it's expensive. But Hue products are, especially these kinds of ones with the lighting integrated. There are no bulbs and things like that. And also, there aren't actually many Hue lights that are rated for use in a bathroom. That is obviously very important. And yeah, I wanted something that was specifically designed to work in a bathroom. So we've got some information about where it should be mounted. It should be greater than 60 centimeters away from a bath and shower. I think we just about hit that. It's essentially going where the existing light is. So yeah, that should be fine. You can't obviously run it directly above the bath or shower, but we won't be doing that. And you know, it just shows a few different scenes of it being used in different white lights and colors and everything like that. Oh look, there we go. It says it's 38 centimeters ish by 38 centimeters ish. It's round, and 8 centimeters ish thick. Now, something that this does have is the light actually deliberately comes out in a nice little ring around the top as well. Don't think you can make the ring a slightly different color. It's all one color. That would be cool if you could, but yeah, I think as well as getting the downward illumination, you get a nice little bit of illumination across the ceiling around the ring. Okay, I really want to see what this is like because I've never had a Hue ceiling light before now. So yeah, I've got no idea of how they're wired and how they're all built and stuff like that. So let's get it out of the box and have a little look. I want to thank all the people who've joined my channel. The people who join my channel essentially pay for stuff like this. So if you want to help me buy more Hue things, then hit that join channel button below, and you can become a part of the incredible team of people that I have supporting the channel. Right, let's get it open. I don't know where the flap's going to go. It looks like it's about to hit into my monitor, so might have to do a bit of juggling. Okay, there's rather a lot of product here, so let me just lift the light out, and this instruction guide comes in this lovely cloth bag. I like that. Keep it protected. Right, okay, let's have a little look at the included paperwork, because I know my usual joke of throwing away instructions is a funny one, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's probably sensible to read the instructions. Safety instructions, more safety instructions, and a little guide to the light. That's pretty interesting. It actually seems to have a base that basically fixes into the ceiling, and then you put the light onto the base by twisting it, which is good. There's none of those faffy tiny little screws. Okay, we'll have a proper little butcher's at it all when we go for the light fitting, but that's interesting. There's a little bag. Oh, it seems the bag seems to have some little washers in. We'll keep those safely. Now this does come in a black as well as this white version. I've just gone for white largely because I think that'll look better. Aha, so this is the ceiling mount. So in theory, there we go. Right, so looks like our wiring comes through this hole here, and then you've got connections for the live and neutral, and then you've got a connection here for the earth terminal. Aha! Now this I like. One of the things when you're installing light fittings is it can be a bit of a ball ache trying to wire and hold the light and try and do the screws, but they've actually got this metal guy here that clips on and is like a wire that will suspend the light, and you can make the connections. That's really good. Oh, and okay, we've got a little rubber grommet here which the wires will pass through, and there, yeah, we've got the fixing holes here as well. Now it doesn't actually come with any fittings at all, so you will need to use your own fixings, which I suppose is fair enough because it has to be suitable for the ceiling that you have. Probably recommend, if you've got a plasterboard ceiling like me, you might want to consider some slightly heavy duty plasterboard fixings to hold this up, because yeah, it does have a bit of weight to it. Something worth bearing in mind is this is a relatively small hole. Let me just measure the diameter of it for you. So if you've got an older house where you've got a whole load of loops of wiring coming down to your light fittings, they're going to struggle to fit through that hole. I'd say there's a diameter of about 2 centimeters there, which, especially with sort of cables, isn't necessarily that big, and you've got the grommet to go in as well. So yeah, bear that in mind. But basically it just fixes onto the ceiling, and then you twist the light into place once you've wired it. It's a very nice looking light fitting. This top bit is a sort of very hard, slightly translucent plastic, and then around the edge here this feels like a sort of metal strip, and it's actually kind of textured very lightly. Yeah, it's just a very gentle sort of bobbly texture. And then this is the actual area that the light comes out of. This is like a sort of semi-translucent plastic for the light to diffuse through. Then once again, we've got this white metal finish here, slightly bobbly, very nice. It's just a really nicely finished light fitting, and I mean, you'd expect that for the money. You want that, don't you? That's what you're paying for, essentially. Now you might be wondering what we're going to use to control the light. So basically we've got a motion sensor, which is what the light will mostly be using, because this has got a dawn to dusk sensor in it and it knows the difference between night and day. I imagine what will probably happen is this, I'll set it so the light comes on when it's dark, but the light doesn't do anything when it's not dark. And also maybe we can set it so when it's really late, we can have it on a sort of night mode, like I mentioned earlier, with like a really, really low dim setting, or maybe like a color or something, a very low color. But for a manual override, I've got one of these dimmer switches, and that could mean that I could program something into it. So maybe there can be a disco mode where it cycles through a load of different colors just for fun. And of course you can adjust the brightness and turn the light off if you want to as well. Now, I'm not going to do masses on these items in this video because I've made videos about the dimmer switch and the motion sensor before now. I do actually have a lot of Hue content on this channel, so what I'll do is I'll put a link to the Hue playlist up there, and that contains like videos on pretty much every Hue bit of kit that I own. I think what we need now is a change of clothes, and we'll go back into the bathroom and we'll fit this thing. So yes, we're going to fit the Hue Xamento in replacement of that. Now, before I get started and do any work, I must say that this video is purely for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a trained electrician, although I would consider myself a competent person to install such a light fitting. But this isn't a how-to video, and if you change your light fitting and set fire to your house and kill all your family, then it's not my fault. That got a bit dark. So yeah, this is just me doing it how I'm going to do it. There might be better ways of doing it. I'm sure all the wannabe Sparkies and actual Sparkies will probably jump on me in the comments, but I think I'm going to do a pretty decent job. So let's shift up the cameras and get up there. So as you can see, the light is currently off, so I'm going to go downstairs and kill the power to the lighting circuit, so it's safe to take this off. So back in a mo. Well, the light appears to be off, so I'm just going to unscrew it and double check. So it seems that our existing light fitting is actually a JCC one, so they've actually installed quite a good light fitting. But I want something better. So if we just remove this, seems they lost a screw here when they were putting it up. Silly billies. There we go. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to double check that there's no voltage between the line and neutral, because even though the power is very clearly off, it's just always good to double check. So I've got my trusty Kaiweets multimeter, and stick that in the live and that in the neutral. Yep. Nothing there. Now this might seem a little bit like overkill, but I think when you're doing stuff like this, it's better to be safe than sorry. And I'm just going to take the ground wire and I'm going to stick it in a Wago connector. Yeah, just so there's not an earth terminal flapping about and potentially touching the line and neutral, because I've just got the power to this circuit switched off. And I think I'm correct in saying that if the earth wire touches the line or neutral, it will probably trip the rest of the electrics in the house, which we don't want. So I'm just getting that nicely out of the way and protected, and that Wago will do the job nicely. And I'm just going to pop another one on the line and neutral terminals, just so they're not flapping around, you know, getting in the way. Right, so now I can unscrew the actual light fitting safely, relatively. There we go. So thankfully the new light fitting should cover this bit of ceiling, hopefully. Bit of slack on that cable, but ultimately we don't need loads of cable going into our light fitting, so I think that should all work out rather well. Okay, so I've got the base of the light here, and I'm just going to sort of offer it up and kind of work out where it's going to lay and how it's all going to work. Now, we are slightly limited because the hole that the wires have got to come through is in the center, which is fine. Okay, that's not horrendous, but we do have a little bit of hole here from the old light fitting. Now the thing is, that will be covered once the whole light fitting is up, but I might just pop a little bit of filler in there just to make it a little bit tidier. But yeah, the wires sort of swoop down where we want them to go. So what I need to do really is make some holes and put some fixings up here. Now the light is actually quite heavy, so I don't think I'm going to do what they did with the original fitting and just screw into the plasterboard, because yeah, I think it's going to need a little bit more support. Right, so normally I would just mark off the holes with my marksman, but doesn't really need it here. They're big old holes. Yeah, I can just pencil them. So we've got our 3 holes. So what I'll do now is put some filler in this hole here just so it's blocked up. I love this stuff. This is one strike filler and I use it for filling holes. It's really weird. It's like a sort of icing consistency, and it dries really quickly and it dries really smooth as well. That'll do. It's not going to be seen anyway, but I just don't really want a hole through up into the loft that doesn't need to be there. So I'm going to now drill out these holes and have a little look at what fixings to use. I'm just going to drill some very small holes just as a sort of pilot hole. So that's straight through to plasterboard. I think that one might be going into a joist. Cool, right, so those pilot holes are drilled. Let's make some bigger holes. So I've been having a little think about the fixings for up here. Now this hole seems to be into a joist, which is okay. So I think what I will do there is I will just use a screw and drill directly into the joist. And these 2 here just seem to be straight through to plasterboard. Now I will use some suitable fixings here and here just to make sure that we get a good firm fixing. But I mean, the fact that it's going into a bit of joist there does actually seem to be pretty good. So I'm going to drill out these holes for the fixings, and then we can sort of offer the light up. So I'm just going to time lapse the drilling and putting the fixings in because it's going to be noisy, it's going to be messy, and I'm wearing suitable eye protection now. So let's get on with the drilling. Now also something I need to think about is the little grommet that came with the light, and the wires have to pass through this. So I think I'm just gonna chop a bit of it off so I can pass the wires through and put it up there now, because otherwise I'm sure I will forget. But this obviously offers protection against the metal edges rubbing against the cable. So now got our lovely little cable grommet. It's time to put these fixings in. So I have opted for these, and they're sort of rule plugs, but they're really good for plasterboard. I've used them throughout the house to hold up a real plethora of things, and they really do work well. So I'm happy to fit the light using these. And those just required an 8mm hole into the ceiling. And they basically squish out when you screw into them. So they'll basically make a really tight fixing. But also, as I say, we've got this lovely hole that will go straight into the joist as well. So it should stand the test of time. Now you can get the plasterboard fixings that the metal plasterboard fixings that actually splay out, but we have discussed maybe putting some downlights in here at some point in the future. So we might actually end up swapping out this light in a couple of years' time, but those metal guys are a real pain in the bum to get out. Once they're in, they're pretty much in. So I think this is probably the best combination of stability and also ability to remove should we wish to. Right, let's get the mounting plate on now. So in the Philips Hue set, there were these 3 washers, and you basically need to put your screw through them to put it up onto the ceiling, largely because these holes here are quite big. I'm actually going to just pop this grommet in now. There we go, perfect. Aha, there we go. Lovely stuff. So this is the point where you need about 30 hands. But if I get this one that's going into the wood sort of roughly in, I can start doing the others at the same time. Yeah, this is one of those situations where I'm really thankful that I've got all this new wiring and I've just got one solitary feed coming down to this light, because if you had multiple feeds, you'd really struggle to get them through that hole. Now I could whiz these screws in with an electric screwdriver or my drill, but I don't really like doing that, especially when I'm only doing like a couple. Largely because I just like, you get a bit more feedback when you're screwing in, so if there's any problems, you can feel it. I mean, obviously, if you're fitting loads of these a day, then obviously you might feel differently, but I just like the sort of feeling through the screwdriver that everything's going to plan. That is solid. Right, so now we need to get our wires and put them, push that back up there and screw those in. Lovely stuff. So we've got our neutral, live, and then earth goes here. So I'm gonna stick the neutral in first. And then we've got our earth terminal. Sort of squeezes down the side. Perfect, I'm really pleased with that. Lovely and neat. Excellent. So now we've actually got to put the light onto here and then wire it into these connectors here. Let's go! It's time to offer up the light fitting. Now I think go something like that. So we need to get our little hooky guy on. And then get these connectors in position. Neutral. Let's do the line. Aha! There we go. I think that's in. That's what she said. So yeah, the old holes on the ceiling are all covered up. That's not going anywhere. Right, I guess we better put the power back on. Right, here goes the moment of truth. Ta-da! Right, so I'm going to do a little bit of the configuration whilst I'm up here, but because it's not the easiest of places to be standing, we'll do the rest of it at the desk. What I'll do is I'll make it so you can see my screen, put it up this side. Let's just go into settings and then lights, and then we can add a light and we can search. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long to find this light. It's found my Hue Xamento. So let's start configuration. So we will call it bathroom, let's call it bathroom ceiling. And yeah, we've got ceiling round selected, lovely. And there we go, it's changing colours all by itself. It's doing a little colour changing disco. Love it. Now we don't actually have the bathroom, so we need to add a new room. We'll call it bathroom. Done. Bathroom. And then we can drag it to the bathroom. Lovely. The bathroom is in our upstairs zone, so we'll put it upstairs. Done. There we go. So we've got our light ready to use. So if we go back to home, and there we go, we've got our bathroom, and off. Nice. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to get a scene on here. I like Tokyo, so I'm going to add to my scenes, and we'll discover why later. But yeah, there we go. And you can see it's got a little glow around the top as well. Really like that. Looks good, doesn't it? But obviously, you know, we can just flip it to like a normal bathroom iced white or a slightly warmer white. Love it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my desk and do the setting up of the motion sensor and the light switch, because I'd rather not do that up a ladder, and it doesn't need to be. So we're back at my desk now. I've had a cup of tea and I'm feeling a lot better. It was actually a relatively simple light to install. It went surprisingly well. I mean, for the money it costs, you should hope that it should be relatively straightforward and intuitive to install. And it was. Right, so now we need to set up our devices that will control the light. And first up, we're going to use a dimmer switch. Now, I've made a video about these before, so I'm not going to go in too much detail, but basically this isn't like a sort of regular wired switch. It can just be mounted onto the wall. It uses a coin cell battery for power, so it's low voltage, so it's perfectly fine to have in the bathroom. I did have one of these in my bathroom in the flat that we used to be in, and it worked happily for years. So this is just going to be for manual control of the light. And then we've obviously got the motion sensor, which will probably be doing a lot of the main work, and this will basically activate the light when the room is dark and someone walks in. So let's get this set up to start with. This is the first generation of these light switches. There is a newer generation, but because all our light switches are like that, anyway, I've kept with the older ones. I might switch over to the new ones at some point, but there's no real immediate need. So I pulled the tab out, and we just need to go into our settings, and then accessories, add accessories. Which one do we want to add? We want to add the dimmer switch. Does it have the Hue logo on the front? No, it doesn't. Done the plastic strip. There we go. So it's searching for the dimmer switch. There we go. So we can choose where to use our switch. So obviously we're going to use it in the bathroom. Perfect. So now it's just adding the switch to the bathroom. So your dimmer has been set up for the bathroom with standard configuration, but you can also customize the switch settings. So you can press the power button on once to just turn on the lights, and then you can press it multiple times to cycle through different settings, which is probably something I will set up. We'll come back to that actually. We'll just say done. So that is the switch added to the bathroom. We'll do the proper configuration of that shortly. Let's add our motion sensor now. So originally these had 2 time modes of operation. So you could say during this time period, say like between 7 AM and 11 PM, to make the lights come on bright when it senses motion and there's not enough light going to the sensor. And then from 11 PM till 7 AM, you can make the lights come on, but maybe at a slightly dimmer setting, or whatever you wanted it to do. But now they've added up to 10 different light slots per sensor. So basically you can tell it to do certain things during more granular time frames, which I think is pretty smart. So these can be wall mounted. I'm not going to wall mount this one. I'm just going to leave it on the side in the bathroom. So you can see my screen again. And then we'll go to add, motion sensor. Oh, okay, it's got Philips Hue. Maybe this is a slightly different motion sensor then. So we've got to press the setup button on the back and the light should start blinking orange. Yes, can confirm. It's hard to see, but the light is blinking orange. Okay, so it's searching for the motion sensor. Yeah, it's a slightly different version to the previous ones, but it looks almost identical. Okay, so searching for my motion sensor. Motion sensor is connected. Lovely stuff. There we go. We shall name the sensor bathroom sensor, not bathroom sender, bathroom sensor. Next, right, which lights do you want the motion sensors to trigger? Not my whole home, just the bathroom, please. Lovely stuff. See, at the moment, this sensor hasn't had the software update sent to it where it can do different things at different time zones. So this is basically how it was originally. You do need to have these connected to your Hue hub for a little while before it notices that there's a software update. So, you know, we'll see about that soon. But yeah, basically at the moment it's set up for between 8 AM and 11 o'clock. The light will come on brightly, and between 11 and 8 AM it will come on dimmed. We'll leave that for now because we're going to do a bit more fiddling. Not like that. Yeah, it's not sensed that there's an update for the bathroom motion sensor yet. Okay, so while that's updating, let's just make some scenes for the bathroom. And basically scenes, especially when you've got one light, are basically the settings for that one particular light. So at the moment in the bathroom, we've got a bright scene, which is basically the light on full, which is fine. Be nice to have sort of several steps of light. So let's copy 2. We'll call this one mid light. Done. And then add to my scenes. And then we can go into that one and edit it. And then we can change the scene brightness. So I'm going to make it so that's basically the light at 50%. So we'll do save. There is a dimmed already, but that's a default dimmed. I'm going to delete the default dimmed. Yeah, that's fine. And let's copy this one. Copy 2. We'll call it dimmed light. Done. Add to my scenes. And we'll edit that. We're going to make that so the light literally is only on 1%. So that is as dim as the light goes. So we'll save that. Something I was thinking about is when it's really late, like the middle of the night, maybe instead of having a white light come on, be good to have a really dim red light, because blue light keeps you awake apparently. So let's just create a dimmed red. So copy 2, we'll call that dim red light. Done. Add to my scenes. And then we need to make that one red. So go into the colors and put it into red. There we go. And so that is a really dim red light. Now, obviously you could set different scenes at different colors and different brightnesses and things like that. Now, you might have seen earlier, I added the scene called Tokyo, and that's actually what the lights in here are set to at the moment. I quite like it. And that is basically a range of different colors. There's lots of different scenes here. So let's find one. Let's do Miami. That sounds fun. So we can add to my scenes. And there we go, we've got Miami. Now, scenes like these ones can be dynamic. That means they'll alter between different light colours. The Miami scene will bounce between certain different colours, and you can change how fast it moves between those colours. So if you want a sort of relatively slow change between the lights, you can whack it down to very slow, or if you want a very quick setting, you can whack it up. So I'm going to just stick it on very fast, and you can make it so when it goes to that scene, you can set the motion sensor to trigger this scene. It will automatically play, and therefore it will automatically cycle through the colours. So we'll do that. So at the moment, the light in the bathroom is dancing away. We'll go in there and have a little look at all this in a mo. But yeah, it's important to have your scenes set up to configure your switches and motion sensors, which is what we're going to go and do now. So now if we go into the accessories and go into the bathroom dimmer, now this shows the behaviour of the light switch when it's pressed. So on the first press at the moment, it will just go on to whatever state it was on last. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so we can cycle through some of these scenes. So instead of the first press making it so it will go on to the last state, I'm going to make it so it goes onto our dimmed red light. And then on the second press, I'm going to make it so it goes onto our dimmed white light. And then on the third press, I'm going to make it go onto our mid light. And then our fourth press, I'm going to make it so it goes onto the bright setting. If the motion sensor's not being used and you want to turn the light on, you can basically press it and it will step through the different brightnesses rather than just immediately coming on bright, which you don't necessarily want. You can cycle through and it will go through those different scenes, which will sort of increase the brightness. And then what we're going to do, just for fun, we're going to make the fifth press go into our Tokyo scene. Now I kind of thought this would be fun if James wants a bit of a funky bath or shower and wants a bit of a disco light on, he can just switch to that. And I mean, I might use it too. So yeah, we've got that all set up. So if we press save, that will then send it to the switch, and that is how the switch will operate. Now obviously the switch has got a dimmer control on it, so it will be able to dim and brighten any of those scenes, but this is just the sort of default states that it goes into. Now something that's really important that I always forget to do, change the power on behaviour. So the power on behaviour is basically what the light does when there's a power cut and the power comes back on. So at the moment, when the power comes back on, the light will go into warm white, full brightness. So if in the middle of the night the power goes off and comes back on again, it will come back on at full brightness in warm white. You don't really want that. So I'm going to put it into power loss recovery mode. So basically, if the light was off when the power was cut, when the power comes back on, it will stay off. And if the light was on when the power went off, then when the power comes back, the light will switch on. So it sort of behaves sort of like a normal light bulb. That's really important. If the bathroom motion sensors had the software update, perfect, it has, right, okay. So let's add some behaviors for the light. So at the moment I'm setting the daylight sensitivity. During the day, if there's not enough light, this will trigger the lights on or off. The bathroom is actually quite bright most of the time, so not really an issue. So I've set the sensitivity to low, and it says based on the amount of daylight currently measured, motion will not trigger the lights, which is fine. I don't want the lights coming on during the day, and if someone wants the lights on, they can turn them on manually with the switch. So let's add a behavior from between 8 till 10, I would say. So we've got to change this slot to 10 PM. I want to add another slot that's sort of between midnight and 8 AM. We'll make it so it comes on with like the dimmed red. So if I add another slot, and I want the time slot to start at midnight. There we go. So we've added another time slot. Awesome. So that one we'll do dimmed red light. And then after 10 minutes, the light will, of no motion, the light will turn off. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change it so if there's no motion detected after 2 minutes, it turns the light off. So basically, once someone's left the bathroom, they don't need to turn the light off. It will do it automatically. Cool. Done. And then, so during the day, between 8 and 10, do you know what? I'm going to make it so it's just on mid-light because I don't really want it blinding us. And then we can make it after say 5 minutes. There's no motion detected. Turns the lights off. Cool. And then we set it till between 10 p.m. and midnight. It comes on the dimmed light setting. So this is the 1% setting. That's perfect. And then after 2 minutes again, no motion, the light will turn off. Done. So there we go. We have got the motion sensor set up now. So it will follow all of those rules that I've set at those times. So let's go into the bathroom and finish off. So we're in the bathroom and the light is currently off. We've got the motion sensor installed in the corner over there, and we've got the switch on the wall. Now, because it's so bright in here at the moment, we don't have a blind in here, so I can't make it any darker. The light at its dimmer settings doesn't actually show up, but I promise you it's coming on. So the first press of the switch should put it into the very dim red mode. Yeah, maybe. I promise you it is on. Look, let me show you in the Hue app. There you go, bathroom, dim red. And if I press it again, should go to our dim white light. There we go, so dim white light. And then we press it again, should start seeing it now. This is our mid brightness. So that's the light on at 50% as we set up. Then if we press it again, it should go to full brightness. Nice. And then if we press it again, it should go into funky party mode. And there you go, it's cycling through all of the colors. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video of me setting up the Hue Xamento medium light. I'm really quite happy with it. I think it looks lovely. It really does. And it's really lifted the bathroom. Now we've got rid of that rather utilitarian LED light that was there before. So I think that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but for now, it's game over.